You can get it. Marvelous.
Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel, y'all, and look. We have another OP08 weekly power rankings from the sim, high ranked elo best players on the ranked sim. So if you guys are looking for the best type of decks out there in the OP08 meta for any regional or local until we get the new structure decks, this is the video for you. Before we start, let me know if you guys want me to do this every week, because a lot of people have been asking me to do these every single week ever since we exposed the sim team for making Zoro #1s.
Know your fucking place, trash fucking robots.
So if you guys do want to see these every single week, meta breakdowns, I don't mind doing them, and it's free content for us, for the gang, okay? Shout out to all my delinquents, YGOD, on some gang shit. Gang. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. But before we start, make sure you join my Discord. I usually don't make a shout out for it, but you know, make sure you join my Discord. Pretty Lydia in there. Come join Flacoville, home of the delinquents. And yeah, y'all, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So what you guys see on the screen right now is the OP08 weekly ranking reports, and this list that you guys see on the screen right now, this looks like the most correct weekly power rankings I've ever seen the sim team create ever since its existence. You guys can thank all of us delinquents, because if we didn't make our initial video calling out the sim team, y'all would still be seeing Zoro as #1. So if you guys are wondering why they're doing the high ranked elo and all that other stuff, you can go ahead and thank the delinquents, YGOD. That's why you should be tapped in, okay? That's why you should be subbed. That's why you should become a member. Fact, not an opinion. Fact. But let's go over all these top decks. We got the #1 deck is Lucci, second is BY Luffy, third is Nami, fourth is Purple Luffy, fifth is Calgera, very surprising, sixth is ST14 Monkey D Luffy, seventh we actually have a return of Reiju. Clap it up for all the Reiju players. You actually kicked out Pudding, thank God. It was like one of our worst matchups. I'm so glad Pudding is out of here. Eighth is Zoro, the #1 deck of the format. Ninth is Jewelry Bonnie, and 10th is Calgera. I'm not gonna go over all the win percentage and all that stuff, because we're gonna actually break down every single deck with deck lists right now. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. The first thing I'm going to tell you guys is the decks that's not going to be featured in these deck lists is going to be Bonnie, Katakuri, and also I think that's it, just Bonnie and Katakuri, because they're pretty much solved. And I actually just made a video on Bonnie winning the Mexico regional with their top decks. So if you guys actually want to see a top deck from Bonnie, go ahead and tap into that. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. The very first deck we have is, of course, the best deck of the format, Zoro, Red Zoro. When this deck initially first came out in the OP08 meta, this was the #1 ranked deck, because, you know, it's definitely, I mean, it definitely should be banned. Fact, not an opinion. We're sitting at an 8th rank right now, 1,000 games played, 800 wins, 800 losses, 2 losses more than their wins, sitting at a 49.9% win rate, so that's underneath 50. But just to be honest with you, the way red usually works is red usually dominates for the first week or two, and then once a deck is actually established, especially if it has something to do with board removal, Zoro will never be in the top, you know, 5 or even top 7 decks, because it really does lose the board removal or any type of controlled type of decks. This deck is really only good in the very first week of any format. When we actually look at all the cards, everything kind of looks the same. It really just thrives off this Tony Chopper. It came out in OP08, just really abusing the zoo package with this card right here, this card right here, and also being able to abuse this Tony Chopper from EBO1. Everything else is pretty much the same. The only new card that is added is this Ray Lee for some board removal late game. This is your in-game cleaner, and this is also your in-game cleaner to in-games. But all in all these cards look pretty much the same compared to my very first list I did with Zoro. Like I said earlier, Zoro's sitting at the 8th rank right now. It's on a downward trend. I hope this gets out of the meta so I can still keep roasting this Zoro deck. I know I feel sorry for your Zoro players, but you could just thank the sim team for making this the #1 deck of the OP08 meta. Fact, not an opinion, because that was actually a disgrace to the One Piece competitive scene. But you know, enough about yapping. This is the deck list. If you guys want to go ahead and tap in, and let's go into the second best deck. I want to say the second best deck, the next best deck of the format. Next best deck of the format has to be Ṟaģu. Ṟaģu has actually made a return. It's no longer sitting in the top 20 decks. It is now the 7th best deck in the format. It's sitting at 900 matches played, 460 wins, 460 losses, so pretty much an even split, sitting exactly at 50%. And if you guys are coming from Yu-Gi-Oh and you guys do want a budget deck, this is probably the best deck to play, just because this has to be one of the most Yu-Gi-Oh type of decks when it comes to comboing in the whole entire game, excluding BY Luffy. BY Luffy is a little expensive because you guys do have to get the Kuzans and the Sabos, cost you over $150 just on those 6 cards. So if you guys do want to play a combo centric deck, you can play this deck, but this is also one of the hardest decks in the whole entire game to play. The main reason why this deck is so strong, because we have the EGG to be able to, you know, probably cheat out turn 2 or turn 3, rushing down on a 7k power, very, very strong. You actually have a soul charge type of card. If you guys don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, pretty much you get to bring out all the Power Rangers from your trash onto the field and pretty much abusing the Ṟaģu, the EGG, and the NEGG as well. Also having the 3 Black Maria, one of the most broken black cards in the whole entire game, if not the most broken black, I would say black purple card in the game right now. Fact, that opinion. Look, I've been talking about so many black decks and how so many people are bitching about black. I'm getting Black Maria messed up with the actual black color, actually crazy. Another card that's actually going really, really crazy is Charlotte Pudding. Look, I've been playing a lot of OP09, and I'm gonna tell you right now, any deck that can play Pudding at a high level is going to be a good deck. Okay, Pudding and OP08.5 and OP09, if you can run it, you're literally a tier 2 deck just off the rip. If you could play Pudding or any type of board removal like Red Rock or Gravity Blade, this is literally automatically a tier 2 deck. It doesn't even matter what your deck does, but if you guys do have these broken cards, this is automatically a tier 2 deck. And then the main way this deck really functions is with this Germa Kingdom card, and that's the only hindrance of this deck. If you guys do not see your stage, more likely you will lose the game. That's really the only way to really do bad with this deck, is if you do not see your Germa Kingdom. So when you guys are playing this deck and you guys, it's time for you like to mulligan and to, you know, choose your starting hand, you guys always need to mulligan to pick up this card, and you want to see this card, you know, 100% of the time, because if you don't, this deck is very, very slow and you will probably end up bricking or losing the game. So very, very shiesty ass deck. Ṟaģu always showing up. I'm happy that you're back in the meta and replacing Pudding, because Pudding is BY Luffy's hardest matchup, number 1. And number 2, I love a good, you know, Ṟaģu player. I love watching them because it's just combo after combo after combo. So if you're a combo player and you want to play one of the hardest decks in the format that's going to take you all the way into next year, this is actually a very, very good deck, and it's a budget deck as well. Let's go ahead and get straight into the next deck. It's ST14 Luffy. I'm gonna just keep it a stack of you guys. We're not gonna really talk too much about this particular deck because we've talked so much about black decks, and then this deck in particular, I feel like everything is discovered about this deck. The only thing that's different is that, you know, maybe, I mean, everything's pretty much the same. Only thing I actually added myself was this card. This used to be a 9-drop Kaido. I opted out to go out into this Monkey D. Luffy for this particular list because this is a rush if you have a cost higher than 10. So this card is always going to be in effect, especially late game when you end up having the Jack out. This is always at a, you know, a stable 11 cost. So you'll also be able to bring this out late game. This can be your end game cleaner. And if you guys drop this while putting 2 down, this is a 12k attack rusher, bro. So actually very, very cracked. This is almost a built-in Yonko 10 drop. Okay, so very, very cracked, very, very cracked. They're also running the 4 Ice Stage. Everything else pretty much the same. Only thing that's different is the Laboon. They are opting out for the Laboon for some cost reduction, because that's the problem in this deck, is cost reduction, cost reduction, cost reduction. And that's the reason why they're running 4 Kuzan and 3 Tashigi, because the cost reduction is just so lacking in this deck. If you don't see it, you will end up losing. This is probably the best version of this Monkey D. Luffy. This is not the original one that the sim posted. I changed it up with the Monkey D. Luffy. You know, I gotta add my you know, the delinquent touch to it. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, if you guys are interested in playing the best meta deck, and this is one more thing about this deck, once the brand new sets do come out, when we talk about structure decks and OP09, this deck probably won't be a top 10 deck. This deck is really only good if black is the best deck, because it counters the best deck and the second best deck. Okay, So with that being said, if you guys do want to play this for like regionals, this is a good option. But going into the structure decks and also OP09, this is probably going to be a top 20 deck. This will no longer be a top 10 deck. The only reason why this deck is here right now is because the best decks in the format are black, and this counters the best decks in the format. So if this is something you guys are interested in, go ahead and play it. But once the structure decks come around and Dofi and all this other shit starts coming here, you're going to get packed up by every other matchup. So use it while you can. Let's go ahead and get straight into this next deck. The next deck we got right here is ďauh̓. ďauh̓ is actually the best budget deck in existence right now. Fact, not an opinion. It's sitting at the 5th rank right now when it comes to the OP08 power rankings. It has 600 matches played, 300 wins, 300 losses, sitting at 50.9% win rate. So very strong deck. I'm actually very strong. A lot of people are even playing this deck, to be honest with you. It's literally a glass cannon deck, and if this deck ends up getting to late game, you probably always lose. This deck really just loses to big body characters. Let's go over the deck list here real quick. We have the 4 for the Hom Oli combo. Very shicy. He is opting out to run the 4 Gadatsus. I feel like this is wrong. Like, if you guys did not know, if you guys are also new to the whole entire channel, it's YGOD. Yellow gang or die. YGOD gang, always on some gang shit. Yellow is our preferred color over here, and after that it's black. Okay, so when we're actually talking about yellow cards, we actually have a very good understanding, because a lot of people seem to hate you know, yellow, but I got something for you.
Nobody fucking cares. You thought I agree with you?
Nobody
fucking cares, nigga. You hear me?
Yeah, we don't give a fuck, just like we don't give a fuck if you guys bitching about Gecko. Okay, so YGOD over here, and let's get back on track. 4 Geckos, not 4 Geckos, 4 Gadatsus. I feel like 4 Gadatsus should probably be turned into 3 Gadatsus and probably 3 Shura. Late game, like I said earlier, or maybe I haven't said it yet in this video, but you only really want to run 4 cards or 4 versions of a card if you guys can use it all throughout the stage of the game. Okay, so late game, this card actually is really trash, because usually your opponent has 1 or 2 lives, so this card's really trash. So if that's the case, I really like running these type of cards at 3. So if anything, I'll put this at 3 and bump up the consistency with the Shuras, just so you can search out all the things from the Sky Island, such as the Holly, the Satori, and also the So, you know, look, so far so good. You are playing the Wiper, you have to. We are playing the 4 ďauh̓. This is the heart and soul of the deck. You guys always want to try to cheat this out, especially if you are playing the Nolan right after that to replenish some life. These 2 cards are literally the staples of the deck. So if you guys do want to play this deck, or if you guys want to learn how to play against this deck, card at the top, thumb down on the screen. I actually made a video on how to beat this deck as well. So if you guys are wondering how to beat this deck, card at the top, it really just loses the board removal. But Nolan, the heart and soul of the deck. We are playing the 4 Wiper. I've been seeing a lot of people opt out for this Katakuri. I tried it myself. Katakuri is decent. I mean, I initially said you should probably run 3 aces, but Katakuri does come up. So, you know, so far this list does look kind of, you know, it does make a little bit, you know, it does make a lot of sense to run some of these cards. Only thing I'll probably change is, instead of maybe the 2 Shuras, I'll probably bring this down, probably add a Eldor here. I feel like you still need at least 3 Eldor in the main, because if you don't, you're gonna just start getting powered out by higher body monsters. So I feel like Eldor is probably ran. You probably could still just keep the 3 Shura like that. So this is how I'll run my ďauh̓ if it was me personally speaking. You are running the flame split. I mean, you guys can really run the flame split or the Rego. The only thing about Rego is that it brings your life to 1, and just being able to recur your life is just so, you know, so sparse at the moment, because this isn't searchable. I mean, this is also a good option of only running 1 and then running 2 other sources of board removal. But besides that, everything else looks the same. If you are part of a YGOD, and if you guys do want to play a cheap yellow, really based yellow deck, this is definitely the best budget deck in the game right now, sitting at a 50% win rate, like I said earlier. Let's go ahead and get straight into the next deck game. Next deck we got right here is Purple Luffy, sitting at the 4th ranked deck in the OP08 weekly power rankings. I have to keep it a stack of you when it comes to Purple Luffy is going to be a top tier meta defining deck all the way into February, March, even April in 2025. Fact, not an opinion. So if you guys do want to pick up a deck that's going to be good now when the structure decks come out and OP09 for our particular meta in the NA, this is the deck to pretty much look forward to. Okay, I feel like this is the second best deck in the OP09 meta right now, right behind Dofi. Okay, so if this is something that you guys are interested in, this isn't a bad choice to really start playing right now, just so you guys know your lines when it comes to the structure decks coming out in OP09 come out. Let's go ahead and briefly go over this deck. We have this Ägsmå here. Main reason why we're playing this card, because it's a 7 cost 9k beat stick of a 1k counter. So even if you guys don't use this card, because it does have such a high Don usage, you do also have that extra 1k counter as well. We have the 3 Scratchman, pretty decent. I actually don't know why they're running this. Let me know below why you guys are personally running this. I'm actually not really too sure why you guys are running this, but the main reason why everybody's playing this deck right now is because Magellan pretty much just fucks everybody's big fact, not of opinion. Okay, being able to slow down your opponent to getting to late game pretty much hinders almost every single deck if you're not Zoro, the #1 deck in the format. So Magellan is definitely locking down the opponents, locking down the meta, and it is the reason why it's still the 4th ranked deck in the whole entire meta at the moment. Very, very shiesty ass card, and if you guys learn how to play this deck and you get like 2 of these on the field, you should pretty much lose the game, because you're gonna end up cleaning up with this Kaido. Kaido is literally your in-game cleaner. You usually bring this out when you're getting ready to go for game. Another good card that's in this deck are these 2 blockers, probably 2 of the best blockers in the game. The only thing I'm really confused about is that this deck is actually not running Black Maria. I feel like in any type of purple deck, you need to be running Black Maria. It's a free 2k, and it's probably one of the best strong OP purple cards in the game. I have no clue why they're not running Black Maria. If you guys can tell me why they're not running Black Maria in this list, let me know. But I feel like there's an error here. The deck maybe probably didn't load up right, I don't know, but I'm running Black Maria. And the next card we need to talk about right here is a Charlotte Linen. This is another staple in the deck. I feel like this may even be ran at 3, because this can keep on replenishing your life while also getting rid of a 6 cost body as well. I feel like this card should also be ran at 3. I don't know who designed this list, but I feel like this list may be wrong. You need to be running at least 3 Charlotte Linens, and Black Maria needs to be in here somewhere. It's a free 2k, and you get to spin the block with it as well with the Dom manipulation. Not sure who's in charge of making these lists, but I'm not feeling this list. Let me know what you guys think below. I don't play purple because, you know, we don't set trip over here. Always on some gang shit. YGOD, but purple definitely making a name for itself. Purple Luffy. If you guys do want to invest in a deck that's going to be good until next year, this is the deck to definitely do so. Okay, the next deck we're going to talk about right here, you guys see it on the screen, is Nami. It's actually the 3rd ranked deck right now on the sim, and I understand why players are just so bored while playing this deck. I mean, if you guys just have a hard time going to sleep, maybe you worked out and you got your adrenaline going from running and you can't end up going to sleep, I assure you, listen to me, listen to the delinquents in Flacoville and YGOD over here. If you guys are really having a hard time going to sleep, just load up this deck list and you'll just I forgot we're doing the weekly power rankings. I'm telling you right now, nobody likes playing this boring ass deck, this trash ass deck, this slow ass deck, this I'm gonna use both of my hands and you're gonna watch me play with myself type of deck. I mean, if you guys just want to have a very, very boring experience and you just hate your life, go ahead and play this deck. I assure you, the boredom will be at power level 9,000. It's actually insane.
About its power level. It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right.
We don't do that here.
Nami, the worst deck in the whole entire meta to play. I would rather go to bingo night on Friday with grandma eating porridge and cheering on about who won tonight's session than play this goddamn despicable deck. Facts. Boring. I can keep on going about Nami probably for like the next 2 or 3 hours, but we're not going to waste my time. Nami, ranked 3rd, has a 51% win rate, most boring deck in the meta to play. And yeah, let's go ahead and get onto the next deck before my computer gets a virus. Okay, so let's go ahead and get straight into Black and Yellow Luffy. So this is Black and Yellow Luffy, and this is my personal list right now. Initially, from the sim team, They did have 4 Kuzans, but before we actually go into the ratios, let's go over the statistics. Monkey D. Luffy, ST13 Monkey D. Luffy has a 52 win percentage. It's the second best deck in the format, so it's no longer 10th. It is now second where it should be. Okay, it has 2,000 matches played, almost 3,000 matches played, 1,500 wins, 1,300 losses, sitting at a 52.2% win rate, second best win rate in the whole entire meta. And I'm gonna be real with you, if you are a BY player, you guys better enjoy this shit, okay? You guys better enjoy this meta where we fucking everybody's bitch, because once the structure decks come out and once OP09 comes out, I've been playing a lot of OP09 with the structure decks. This deck struggles, bro. Like, you really have to play everything right, and sometimes you really just gotta be lucky or have the counter in hand, especially if you're playing against Dofi. This deck is really only going to be really shiesty probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks. But if you are just going to continue to play this deck, let's go over the ratios. Initially, for the ratios, they had 4 Kuzan, 4 Searchers, and that was pretty much it, with no aces. I feel like that's wrong. Let's talk about Kuzan real quick. A lot of people are a big fan of Kuzan. My opinion is that, especially in the OP08.5 and OP09 meta, a lot of these top tier decks have so many good low cost characters. Kuzan is almost always dead, number 1, and number 2, Kuzan at 4 late game is trash, okay? I don't know why everybody's running 4. Yeah, it's good if you go on your second Dawn turn, okay, if you are going second. But if you guys don't go second, Kuzan's almost always dead. You'll probably maybe drop 1, and then when it gets to late game, we're talking about Dawn 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 9 times out of 10, Kuzan is dead, and running 4 just ends up bricking up your hand. You don't know how many times I've bricked on Kuzan late game, and that's the last thing I want to do is brick on Kuzan, so I end up dropping down to Kuzan. Hey, you guys can run the 4 Kuzan and the 4 Searchers like what the sim has and pretty much cut out the aces, because that's exactly what they did. But in my personal opinion, I feel like Kuzan should probably be at 2, and just so you could probably fit in room for these Portuguese aces. The only thing that's really changed in this deck right now is the Sabos. I was initially running this card right here, Finger Gun, but you know, I'm actually opted out to try out, you know, this ratio, you know, the 1 Finger Gun and 1 Sabo. I've also been finding out late game or just in the game in general, you know, having 2 Finger Gun in hand is kind of a brick, especially since it doesn't have counter. And we are only playing 2 Searchers. I've been seeing a lot of people say 4 is good. 4 is actually trash, because at a certain point you have to stop searching out of your deck, because if you keep on searching for bullshit out of your deck when your trash is already filled up, you're going to end up bricking and bottom decking all your Gecko Boreas in your 2Ks. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm always running 6 Searchers. I mean, yeah, maybe if you're using extremely brick, you need to use more Searchers, but if you get to a game state where you actually have to use 4 or 5 Searchers to find your cards, you probably already lost that game to begin with. So I feel like this ratio of 2, 4 is correct. And we're actually also running the 2 aces as well. A lot of people aren't even running this. I'm gonna tell you right now, almost every single game I win with this deck, I'm closing out the game with this ace. And don't let me have, you know, 2 of these in the grave and 2 of these in the grave. I'm cycling out both of them and pretty much spinning the block. So this is the list. If you guys do want to see the actual initial list that, you know, the One Piece sim had, they pretty much just had, you know, I'll get rid of this so you guys can see it. So this is the initial list. So this is the initial list that sim team have, and I feel like this wrong. Like I said early, running 4 Kuzan is a brick late game, and I'm gonna keep it stacking for you. Late game, I do not want to see this card. Every time I see this card, late game is going to the trash. So very shiesty ass deck. Once these structure decks come out, not only Black and Yellow Luffy is going to get power crept, but also the #1 deck of the format. Okay, the #1 deck of the format right now, #1 deck of the format is this deck right here, is Lucci. We're not going to talk too much about it because we already talked about Lucci. It's discovered. It's the #1 deck, 5,000 matches played, 2,700 wins, 2,400 losses, 52.5% win rate. This is the best deck in the format. We really don't need to talk about it, but like I said earlier, for the Black and Yellow players, you see how they're opting out for the 2 Kuzans. I'm telling you, the 2 Kuzans is the way, because late game you brick on this card, and even Lucci's playing too. This is the list that the sim team thinks this is the best variation of Lucci. You are running the 4 Rebecca, the 4 Gecko, the 4 Lucci. The only thing I'm really kind of confused about is this 2 Kaido. I don't know what should be replaced. I don't see everybody playing this. Let me know if there's a different type of card to replace this particular card, but hey, Gotta keep it a stack of you. As long as you can do the Rebecca Spandai Lucci combo with Gecko Moria, it doesn't matter what other card is in the deck, because you know Rebecca is such a broken card it needs to get banned. A lot of people are saying for Gecko, but let's keep it a stack. You ban Rebecca, what are they going into? They aren't doing a 22 Dawn turn. So but yeah, we already to the point where black is getting power crept at OP09, so the time for a ban is actually left the table. And yeah, this is pretty much the best deck. There's not gonna be a ban list, and Lucci is the best deck until OP08.5, to where Doofy and Luffy pretty much takes Rob Lucci's lunch money. Look, this is all I got. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know below and tell me your guys' thoughts on all the brand new deck lists and the meta and how it's shaping up. But look, that's all I got. But before I go, if you was feeling the vibes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It all gone.